Welcome to engNatural. Learn English naturally. Have you ever felt that gap between the person you are and the person you want to be? We all have these incredible ambitions. We want to be healthier, smarter, more successful. We see the finish line, this amazing future version of ourselves, but the path to get there feels, well, impossibly long and steep. We think we need to make a massive, dramatic leap to get there. But what if that's not true? What if the real key to transformation isn't found in a giant leap, but in a single, small step, taken again and again and again? Today, we're exploring what I believe is the most underrated and yet most powerful force for change in our lives: consistency. It's not glamorous, it won't get a million likes on social media, but it is the bedrock of all meaningful achievement. And if you find this conversation helpful, if you're interested in exploring the small changes that lead to big results, take a second to hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you're listening. It helps us grow too. So let's dive in. What does consistency truly mean? For me, it's about choosing to lay one brick perfectly today, rather than worrying about the entire wall. It's about the quiet commitment to show up, especially on the days you don't feel like it, because those are the days that truly count. So, what does this look like in practice? It's easy to talk about consistency as a concept, but its power is only revealed through action. I want to share a personal story about a time this principle fundamentally changed the course of my life. A number of years ago, I hit a wall, a big one. I was feeling completely overwhelmed, creatively drained, and professionally stuck. Every project felt like a mountain, and I just didn't have the energy to even start climbing. I was reading books on productivity, looking for that one hack that would solve everything. Spoiler alert, it doesn't exist. I felt paralyzed by the sheer size of my goals. I wanted to build a new venture, get back in shape, learn a new skill. The list was endless and exhausting. It was the classic all or nothing trap. Since I couldn't do it all perfectly, I ended up doing nothing at all. Then, out of desperation, I decided to try something laughably small. I committed to writing for just 15 minutes every single morning. That's it. Not write a chapter, not write 1,000 words, just open a document and type for 15 minutes before checking email, before looking at my phone, before the day's chaos could take over. The first day was fine. The second day, I almost skipped it. The third, I really had to force myself. I didn't feel a surge of inspiration, no lightning bolt of insight struck me. It felt insignificant, pointless even. My brain was screaming, "This isn't enough. You're wasting your time with these tiny efforts." But I stuck with it. I treated it like brushing my teeth. It wasn't about passion, it was just something I did. After a week, something interesting happened. I had a few messy pages of ideas. Not great, but they were something. They were tangible. After a month, I noticed a shift in my mood. I started the day with a small sense of accomplishment. I had kept a promise to myself. That small win, that single brick laid each day, began to build a foundation of self-trust. This tiny, consistent act started a cascade. Because I had proven to myself I could stick to 15 minutes of writing, I thought, maybe I could do a 10-minute walk at lunch. So I did. And that became a habit. The momentum started to build, slowly, almost imperceptibly at first. 6 months later, looking back, the transformation was astounding. I had a solid draft of a business plan, I was feeling physically better, and my overall sense of control over my life had returned. It wasn't one big decision that saved me from that slump. It was the cumulative effect of hundreds of boring, consistent 15-minute sessions. It taught me the most valuable lesson of my career. Success isn't about intensity, it's about consistency. The power isn't in the single workout, it's in showing up for the gym every week. It's not about the one brilliant brainstorming session, it's about the daily practice of generating ideas. It's the compound interest of self-improvement. Now, this power of consistency is a double-edged sword. It can build us up, like my writing habit, or it can quietly tear us down. We are all creatures of habit, for better or for worse, and often our bad habits are just as consistent as our good ones, if not more so. So, how do we spot the difference? The line can get blurry. A habit might feel good in the moment, but cause long-term damage. This is where a simple but brilliant framework comes in handy, the habit loop. Understanding this has been a complete game changer for me in terms of self-awareness. The loop has 3 simple parts: cue, routine, and reward. First, the cue. This is the trigger, the thing that sets your habit in motion. It can be a time of day, like 3 p.m., a place, your kitchen, an emotional state, feeling bored or stressed, or even the action that precedes it, finishing dinner. Second, the routine. This is the habit itself, the action you perform. It's the behavior you want to change or reinforce. Grabbing a snack, scrolling through your phone, lacing up your running shoes. And third, the reward. This is the crucial part. It's the benefit you get from the routine, the reason your brain says, hey, let's do that again. It satisfies the craving that the cue created. Let's take a common bad habit, mindlessly checking your phone. The cue might be a moment of boredom or a notification sound. The routine is unlocking your phone and opening an app. The reward is a hit of novelty, a bit of social connection, a distraction from whatever you were supposed to be doing. Because the reward is instant, the loop is powerfully reinforced. I had a terrible habit I used to call productive procrastination. It was insidious. The cue would be a large, important, slightly intimidating task on my to-do list, the one that really mattered. My brain, seeking to avoid the discomfort of that challenge, would trigger a clever routine: research. I'd tell myself, I can't start this big project until I've thoroughly researched every possible angle. Sounds responsible, right? Whew, what a relief. But it was a trap. I would spend hours, sometimes days, falling down internet rabbit holes, watching videos, reading articles, all tangentially related to the task. The reward was feeling busy and productive without ever facing the actual difficult work. I was getting the satisfaction of working without the risk of failing at the real task. It was a perfect self-sabotaging loop. Recognizing that loop was the first step to breaking it. I had to see it for what it was, not preparation, but avoidance. I had to identify the cue, the feeling of being overwhelmed by a big task, and consciously choose a different routine. The journey from good habits to bad ones is paved with immediate rewards. The key is to become a detective of your own behavior. What cue just happened? What am I really craving with this routine? Understanding that loop gives you the power to rewrite it. Okay, so we've seen how consistency can build us up and how bad habit loops can trap us. The big question is, how do we consciously and effectively build good habits? How do we go from knowing what to do to actually doing it day after day? I've experimented with countless strategies over the years, and I found that the most effective ones are surprisingly simple. Here are a few that have made a real difference for me. First, and this is the most important, make it ridiculously small. I mentioned my 15-minute writing habit. The real secret there wasn't 15 minutes. It was that it was too small to fail. If you want to start exercising, don't commit to an hour at the gym. Commit to putting on your workout clothes. That's it. That's the habit. It sounds silly, but it's about lowering the barrier to entry so much that you have no excuse. Anyone can put on their workout clothes. And once you've done that, well, you might as well do a 5-minute warm-up. And once you've done that, you see where this is going. This is what author James Clear calls the 2-minute rule. Scale down your habit until it takes less than 2 minutes to do. Want to read more? Habit. Read 1 page. Want to meditate? Habit: sit and breathe for 60 seconds. You build momentum, not resistance. And here's my third tip, a slightly unexpected one. Focus on your identity, not the outcome. This is a subtle but profound mental shift. Instead of saying, I want to run a marathon, outcome-focused, you say, I am a runner, identity-focused. What does a runner do? They run regularly, even when it's short. So every time you go for a run, no matter how short, you are casting a vote for your new identity. You are reinforcing the idea that this is who I am. When you have to choose between sitting on the couch or going for a run, you ask yourself, what would a runner do? This changes the entire internal conversation from one of chore and obligation to one of alignment and identity. Every small, consistent action becomes proof of your desired self. You're not just chasing a goal, you're becoming the person who achieves those goals. Building good habits is one half of the equation. The other, and often harder half, is breaking the bad ones. These are the routines that are deeply ingrained, the ones that offer an immediate, tempting reward. How do we dismantle these patterns that hold us back? The first step, as we discussed with the habit loop, is awareness. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. But once you've identified the cue, the routine, and the reward, what's next? A powerful strategy is to not eliminate the habit, but to replace it. The cue and the reward often stay the same. You just swap out the routine. Your brain is still getting what it craves, but through a healthier action. Let's go back to my productive procrastination example. The cue was feeling overwhelmed by a big task. The reward I was seeking was a sense of relief and distraction. The old bad routine was endless research. I needed to find a new routine that would still give me that relief, but wouldn't sabotage my work. So I experimented. When I felt that overwhelming cue, instead of opening a browser tab, my new routine became walk away from the computer and do 10 push-ups, or walk around the block for 5 minutes. It was a short physical burst, and guess what? It worked. It broke the mental state of overwhelm, the cue, and provided a new, healthier reward, a small burst of endorphins and a clear head. The craving for distraction was satisfied, but in a way that actually helped me reset and get back to work. Another key strategy is to increase the friction for bad habits and reduce it for good ones. We are, by nature, a little lazy. We follow the path of least resistance. So make your bad habits harder to do. If you mindlessly eat junk food, don't keep it in the house. You've just added the friction of having to go to the store to get it. If you spend too much time on your phone, delete the distracting apps. You'd have to go through the hassle of reinstalling them. Or, even better, leave your phone in another room when you're trying to focus. I had a terrible habit of checking my phone first thing in the morning. It would hijack my brain before the day even began. My solution was simple. I bought a cheap alarm clock, a real one, and now my phone charges overnight in the living room, not on my nightstand. The friction of having to get out of bed and walk to another room to check it is just enough to break the cycle. I've made the bad habit inconvenient and the good habit, starting the day without distraction, the default option. But perhaps the most important strategy in breaking bad habits is this: self-compassion. You will fail. You will slip up. You'll have a day where you eat the cookie, skip the workout, or scroll for an hour. That's inevitable. The difference between success and failure isn't never slipping up, it's how quickly you get back on track. I remember when I was trying to quit that phone in the morning habit. There were days I'd forget and leave it by my bed. I'd wake up, grab it instinctively, and start scrolling. The old me would have thought, well, I've blown it for today, might as well give up. That all or nothing thinking is a trap. The new approach is to say, oops, okay, I made a mistake. Let's put the phone away now and start my day. The goal isn't a perfect streak. The goal is to just get back to it. One mistake doesn't have to become two. Forgive yourself and get back to the plan. Consistency is not about perfection. It's about persistence. So, as we wrap up, let's bring it all back to that image from the beginning, that huge mountain representing your goals. It can feel so intimidating. We've talked today about how consistency is the force that turns that intimidating climb into a manageable path. It's about understanding that small, daily actions, that compound interest of effort, are what truly create transformation. It's not about being a hero for one day. It's about being reliable for every day. We saw how a tiny 15-minute habit can pull you out of a slump and rebuild your confidence from the ground up. We learned about the habit loop, the cue, routine, reward, and how understanding this framework gives you the power to become a detective of your own behavior. It's the key to dismantling the bad habits that hold you back, like my productive procrastination, and consciously designing the good ones that move you forward. And we covered concrete strategies you can use today. Make it ridiculously small with the 2-minute rule, anchor new habits to old ones with habit stacking, focus on your identity, not just the outcome, and when breaking bad habits, replace the routine, add friction, and most importantly, practice self-compassion when you inevitably slip up. The journey to becoming the person you want to be isn't a sprint. It's a marathon made of a million small, consistent steps. So, my question for you today is this. What is one ridiculously small habit you can start tomorrow? Not something huge, something that takes less than 2 minutes. What is that one brick you can lay? Thank you so much for joining me on NONGA Learn English Naturally. I'm Puck. Keep showing up. I'll talk to you next time.